Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Gary Keller and Josh Team.
This event is as important to me as I hope it's important to you. Because here's why. Because I learned too. And in the preparation for this, and in the interviews yesterday, I'm all in. I'm listening. I'm enthralled with what I'm hearing. I just want you to know that it teaches me as much as I hope it teaches you. To me, it's that important. Here's my aha. Here's another aha. And that is that anybody can be successful if you want to be. But you have to do what successful people do. You just have to give over to them. You can't, right? In MREA, Jay and Dave and I talked about when creativity shows up. And the challenge is, remember again, creativity shows up on the back end, not the front end. So when you walk out of here and go home, we don't want you walking out going, I'm going to be creative and think about all the stuff that I always wanted to do. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. The goal yesterday was for you to listen to individuals who have big gross incomes and big net incomes and genuinely love what they do. Pick pieces of what you heard that made sense to you. And I beg you, just go home and bleep and do what they do. Okay? Is that a deal? Okay. All right. So
I got to ask before you move on, what's going on with the shirt? What's going on here?
You know, so the thing about the shirts is that Jay and I were hanging out and we were having this conversation about this idea that someone suggested that the millionaire real estate agent models were not accurate anymore. So
I remember that interview.
Yeah. Well, that's not true. The research says that's not true at all. So anyway, we thought we would celebrate the concepts of MREA with fun t-shirts. So this one, by the way, if you look it up, the tech stack for a database, that's what it looks like. And then to us, if you work your database, it's rocket fuel for your career. So we just put a rocket through there. So
got it.
And in celebration of Elton John, Rocket Man. So, you know.
There we go. So yesterday we talked a little bit about how we want to, everything we're doing, our whole end game here is to allow the agents to be Netflix, allow the agents to have curated, personalized experience in one ecosystem, on one environment.
Do you think they understand that? When you and I, because we literally work side by side, and it is our goal to put the juice in their hands, to give them the power to basically be Zillow, right?
That's right.
Yes. We want them to be Zillow. We want them to out-Zillow Zillow. We want them to out-Realtor.com, Realtor.com.
That's right.
We want you to be Netflix. We don't want to be Netflix. That's not our role in this relationship. We're your tech company that you hired to build all of that so that you can be that. And you can run your own business.
And so what I want to do, and honestly, I'll take any opportunity to throw back to this video, but I want to take a second and just replay the video that we showed at Fame Reunion around the consumer app so that before we get into the details of the consumer app that you guys have built. So let's take a look at that really quick.
pretty awesome. When we showed that, those were just screens.
That's right. So when we show this family reunion, this was the vision, which is why we don't go super deep into the actual features. However, if you've been to our tech booth, you'll see we've actually shipped this product. Like, we've actually built the app. It's real, it's live, you can play with this. And as we build deeper partnerships, we're actually in relationship with one of our deep partners, Google, where we're getting deeper in relationship with the cloud computing side, machine learning, data scientists, and also helping make world-class experiences. And so we're actually labbing the process in the same consumer app that we've shipped with companies like Google to make sure that that this is world-class.
Yeah, if the Google employees tell us that this is awesome, then we ship it to you. If they tell us it's not, we're going to go make it awesome, and then when they tell us it's awesome, we'll ship it to you.
That's exactly right. And you can actually play with this app again out in the booth, but let's walk through a little bit and go a little deeper into the app as it sits today and where we're going with it. And so we've got another video. It's not quite as exciting because anytime you're actually showcasing the actual journey, you got to slow it down a little bit. But let's take a look actually.
Reality's boring?
A little bit. But let's take a look at it really quick and see what your app can do right now.
Got it.
We need a pool.
Let's start with a budget. But don't we want to live close to
My parents.
my parents? We'll pick this up later. Nice.
Okay, now what? Remember the guide? Now, how about that pool?
Right. I don't know. Reality looked pretty good to me.
We're pretty excited about this. Again, this is the last Lego that we were going to put in. So if you imagine, first we had to connect the data. Then we had to go build the agent operation system command. And now, since all those things connect, all the way from the MLS to the brokerage to the agent, now we layer on the consumer, and the entire ecosystem is together in one environment. And this is the last Lego.
Yeah, so one of the things that you told me early on, and I didn't totally buy into it at first, but I got what you were saying, and that was we actually had to start with the agent operating system before we built the consumer operating system. Why?
Yeah. Well, if you think of it this way, agents probably, when we interview agents, we hear a lot of feedback where they feel like their consumer wants an on-demand agent. They want the information all the time. They're texting, they're emailing, they're calling. They have to log into multiple systems, and the agent does to get that information. And so the truth is, though, and I've said this before, consumers don't want an on-demand agent. They want on-demand information.
Yeah.
And in order for agents to be able to provide on-demand information, the agent operating system that houses that information has to be built first to power that. Because it hasn't existed before, and it's all been dispersed in different systems, there's been no easy way for agents to cultivate that and give that information to the consumer.
Right.
So there's thousands of features in the consumer app. And again, so I encourage you to go to the booth or follow us along on Kennedy Connect Live or go to the breakouts. But there are 7 kind of features that we want to talk about today and highlight on why we're pretty excited about this. The first one that is pretty exciting to us is the ability, this will be the first app in the history of ever across the entire country, not bound by MLS or IDX, where you can search by neighborhood with one fingertip. So if any of your client lands on vacation and like, what's it like to live here, they can pull up their app and with a couple of button clicks, get all the information in the neighborhood. And that's pretty exciting because in the monthly neighborhood nurtures and the smart plans that we've launched inside Command, we're still seeing about the 300 to 400% increase in engagement when consumers have neighborhood personalized content versus city or zip code. And so this will be the first app that lets you do that very easily.
So why do you think that neighborhoods matters more than zip codes?
Was the closer you get to the home, the more relevant it is to the consumer.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting what's happening in my zip code. It's compelling what's happening next door. And that's just a universal truth. And I think that's why we know when we go to listing presentations, we take what's happening on the street, not the entire zip code. The other thing is that we're also making...
Now let me back up. But you do have the ability to also search by zip code.
Yeah.
You also have the ability to draw a circle and just zero in on what you want.
100%. We've actually benchmarked across Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, all the apps that are the 5 actually, and we benchmarked to make sure that we call those table stakes. So anything that those apps do that consumers like, we had to have parity in those table stakes, and then we said, now how do we +1 that? How do we create one unique experience so that our agents can go to their database and create stickiness with their app so that they enter all their real estate needs?
So one of the things that we showed yesterday, and we just glossed right over it, and I don't know how much you thought about it, was the amount of money that went into search this last year. And it was like no money.
That's right.
In other words, the world believes that search has been won by the big search engines, right? We disagree. We do not think that at all. We actually believe that the battle for search is just getting ready to begin between you and them.
And I think the big reason that is because it's really hard for a new company or a new website or even the current websites to get in front of consumers. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars. They do national campaigns. What you guys have is the ability to be face-to-face, eye-to-eye, hand-to-hand with homeowners across the country every day, having real-life conversations. And there's no marketing campaign that can match that.
And you'll show in a second the ability to interact in real time through the app.
That's exactly right. So one of the things that you'll be able to do in the app is now that we understand the neighborhood nuance, we actually hook into local, we call them points of interest. And we pull in things like Yelp, Google Maps, Google Places, and so I can show you like, here's where people like to grocery shop in this area. Here's the favorite coffee shops. Here's the favorite Italian restaurants. And that kind of gives them, here's the fitness gym. And so anywhere in the country, they can click a couple buttons and see what's happening in that market. Also, what's it kind of like to live there? And we're bringing even in personality indexes around people here love nature, or there's a lot, this is a dog-friendly community, and those types of things. And so the ability to easily explore is pretty exciting. In addition to that, we've mapped every school district across these neighborhoods and cities and zip codes. So not only will you be able to see school districts, but you'll also be able to search. So you can actually, in the search by city, as you see in here, but you can also search by school district or name, and it will then show you all the homes and areas that that school district or that school services. So you can see I'm looking at the Austin Independent School District, and I can say, if I want to go to this ISD, here's where I could live. And you'll notice we've actually gone out and pulled the student to teacher ratio for all of these schools and school districts so that you have full information about the schools.
Yeah. And I just want to point out as we go through all of this, this is just version 1.
We're just getting started.
So if you saw version 1 of Command and you see Command now, what do you think version 2 or 3 of this is going to look like?
Okay.
This is just version 1.
So this is also where the property detail page, this is a lot of what we kind of said those table stakes. What we did is we looked at the 4 major apps out there and how they did listing details. And we basically said, we married them together like Legos. And then we put those back in front of consumers and we said, do you prefer, which one do you prefer? And until we assembled the Legos in a way that people preferred our app 7 times more likely than the other apps, we just kept putting the Legos in different orders. And so what we've done here is we've broken up the photos at the top of those hero shots, show you the neighborhood it's in, allow you to look up commute times. We integrated it with the one-stop shop, that kind of end-to-end, whether it be getting insurance with Keller Covered, whether it be getting your mortgage and saving money with Keller Mortgage, all those things in one area. One of my personal favorites, though, is like Gary said, you'll see these icons on the top right-hand side. That's where you can actually start collaborating right away on a listing with either a co-buyer, with your agent, whoever it is in your ecosystem. And so with just a few button clicks, you can start that dialogue without having to call, text, email. I'm kind of interested in this, I'm not interested in that. Or you can even hide it. So you see the little eye icon? This was one that consumers loved the most, actually. You can actually hit this button, and that listing will never show back up in your app unless you go to your settings and remove it from being hidden anymore. And so, anyways, this is we're pretty excited about the property details.
Yep.
When you click the heart, you can actually go and create these interactive collections. And so I can create collections around my dream home neighborhood or homes near work. The agent can go in and create collections on your behalf that says homes I might think you might be interested in. And with just a couple button clicks, you can add homes to those collections. You can name them. You can invite co-buyers or your other collaborators to share your collections with you. And you can actually go on a journey together, sharing properties back and forth really easily. And we're pretty excited about that. We've also built in this idea around being able to discuss. And this discuss concept exists not just on listings, but on everything in the app. So if you wanted to have a conversation about the collections that you've created, if you want to have a conversation about a home, if you want to have a conversation about the process that you're in of buying or selling the house, you can go do that all through the app right now. And on the back side, the agent, this is integrating into your Command, this is integrating into your Kelly, and so you're just using your operating system, your consumer's just using their app, and everything just talks to each other, keeping everyone on one page. This is my personal favorite.
That's how you personalize it. That's how the real estate agent, that's one of the dozens of ways that we've created for the real estate agent to stay in relationship and stay in the middle of the conversation at all times.
That's right. So what you'll see here is this is actually, I'm in the consumer, I'm using the app from a buy or sell side. And one of the things that I'm personally most excited about is because the buying process and the selling process of a home is complicated, stressful. And the way I think of this is consumers, again, always want on-demand information, but they don't want to bug their agent, right? And so what happens is they want to wait until they reach out, until their anxiety is so high that they're like, okay, I don't care if I'm bugging my agent, I want to know what's happening with my home or with the purchase. And so this constant struggle that the consumer has, we can appease by simply creating an interactive platform. So if you remember, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, so I just want to plant the seed. Inside of Command, there's opportunities. Opportunities walk you through the transaction as an agent. So you just drag and drop from, I'm going on a listing appointment. I'm now working with a listing and an active client. It's now under contract and we're negotiating and we close. Well, you as an agent can configure your sales pipeline. You can configure your opportunities however you want. This guide that we're walking through links to that opportunity. So as soon as you drag and drop it, the client's informed, and however you configured your consumer app in Command, they can see what's next in the process and what to expect and what you're doing on their behalf. And you don't have to do anything for it. You don't have to tell them. It just does it automatically.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything.
And
by the way, not just the buyer, but the seller as well.
That's right. We do buying journeys, selling journeys, and you can even configure that in such a way where you can have a luxury guide. You can have an investor guide. You can have your first homeowner guide. You can go customize the guides based off clients, and you can have this, Gary Keller gets his special guide, right? And you can completely do whatever you wanted to do and configure it. And we're pretty excited about that because this, again, is the first time ever that a consumer can start just being curious around areas and neighborhoods, and then use that same app all the way to, I'm now at the listing appointment, I now want to have conversations with my agent, I'm now under contract, I'm now negotiating, I'm now getting insurance, I'm now closing, and I never left that app, and they stayed inside of your ecosystem. That's when you become Netflix.
Now, this allows you to be the trusted guide.
That's right.
Yeah.
The last thing is, the thing that makes all this work is that this is integrated into Command. So you'll see inside the contact page, this is the contact
Which is why we had to build Command first.
This is why you had to build Command first. On the right-hand side is everything the consumer's doing inside your app. They're creating safe searches. They're looking at these neighborhoods. They're collaborating, right? They're texting you or they're conversating.
Hold it. You mean as an agent, I can see key things that the consumer's doing?
You can see everything that the consumer's doing. And this is what we talked about yesterday. As we get smarter and smarter with this data, we'll actually know it's time to reach out to Sherry. And she prefers us to reach out to her in the afternoon, on the weekends, by text message. That's our best chance of getting Sherry to respond to us based off the patterns that we've seen with Sherry, given the millions of other people that we're watching who also act and behave like Sherry. And this allows all of us to go get unfair share. All right, so we're going to get now into a panel around best practice for nurture and conversion.
I'm leaving.